Tomorrow, voters in the highly Republican state of Wyoming will head to the polls, and one of the biggest choices they will make is who will be their only member of the House of Representatives. There are 4 candidates on the Republican ticket, but the race will likely be between 2. Current Representative Liz Cheney, who has been very vocal against former President Trump, and lawyer Harriet Hageman, who is being backed by Donald Trump.
I know Wyoming. I love Wyoming. I am Wyoming.
Harriet Hageman proudly wears Wyoming on her sleeve and wields it like a hammer against Liz Cheney.
I am going to reclaim Wyoming's lone congressional seat from that Virginian who currently holds it.
These days, signs of trouble for Cheney are easy to spot here in Wyoming, as Hageman works to bring Cheney's time in Congress to an abrupt end. It wasn't always that way.
I am proud to introduce my friend, Liz Cheney.
Back when she showered Cheney with praise during her first bid for Congress in 2016.
She's a proven, courageous, constitutional conservative, someone who has the education, the background, and experience to fight effectively for Wyoming on a national stage.
It's a telling bookend of the Republican Party's evolution under Donald Trump, who was elected the same day Cheney first won. And now he is at the center of her political fall, in a state where he won 70% of the vote, his widest margin anywhere.
She's fighting against President Trump. She betrayed us.
There has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump.
Yet here in Wyoming, Hageman is seen as far more than Trump's hand-picked candidate. Before her fight with Cheney, she gained prominence as an attorney, fighting the federal government to protect the state's water, land, and natural resources.
It's absolutely critical that we protect the energy industry, not just for Wyoming, but for the United States.
That focus on Wyoming issues resonated with many voters we met, like Scott Vetter, who voted early for Hageman.
When you dive into the work that she's done, it's just been stellar, and we really appreciate what she did.
Was it more a vote for her or more a vote against Liz Cheney?
No, it was for her.
Cheney's fixation with Trump and her leadership on the January 6th committee has also turned off many Republicans.
A lot of the choices that she's made lately are not the ones that Wyoming is behind.
And Hageman has sought to capitalize on that anger among Trump loyalists.
We're fed up with the January 6th commission and those people who think that they can gaslight us.
When we caught up with Hageman after a speech to the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce, she declined to answer our questions.
How has Liz Cheney betrayed Wyoming voters? If I can just ask you, how is
Before an aide stepped in. Just last week, she embraced the former president's baseless election denial rhetoric at a campaign stop in Casper.
Absolutely, the election was rigged. It was rigged to make sure that President Trump could not get reelected.
What Hageman doesn't tell her audiences is that she once opposed Trump and supported Ted Cruz in 2016. It's a sign of her own transformation, from Cheney ally to Trump loyalist, with her sights now set on Washington.
I will be taking that fight to D.C. just as soon as I defeat Liz Cheney.
That is the Republican side. There are also 4 Democrats running for the House of Representatives, but a Democrat has not been elected to the post in Wyoming since the 1970s.